Trolley problem has been notoriously difficult for young children and people wearing elaborate costumes, not because they lack the intelligence to solve it, but because saying trolley 5 times fast is its own challenge. According to Google, there's no simple answer to the trolley problem, but on this channel, there's a simple answer to everything. The great thing about the trolley problem is that it doesn't require advanced math or prior knowledge, just some good old-fashioned thinking, which, let's be honest, might make it a bit harder for kids. Picture this. A train is speeding toward 5 people who, for some reason, can't move. In the original version, they're tied down, but in this one, they just remain still. You're watching from a distance, and the only thing you can do is pull a nearby switch. This will divert the train onto another track, but there's a problem. On the other track, there's one person who will get hit instead. What do? Pull the switch or do nothing?
At first glance, the answer seems obvious. If pulling the switch saves 4 more people, then logically you should always pull it. And technically yes, but here's the catch. This isn't the real trolley problem. It's just the first part of a sequence of questions meant to make you second guess yourself. But lucky for us, they are all multiple choice, and each one has only 2 options. So let's start simple. Will you pull the switch to save 5 people at the cost of 1? Next question. Will you actually do it? This assumes you were lying on that first part. A little offensive, but fair. Because in reality, standing next to the switch will feel very different. Your brain will probably freeze and wait for someone else to handle the situation. If you are built different, you'd pull the switch without hesitation. Now, let's move on. Part C. The bridge dilemma. This time, there's no switch. Instead, you're standing on a bridge above the track. The train is speeding toward the 5 people, and the only way to stop it is by pushing a very large man into the rails. He's heavy enough to stop the train, but he won't survive. Will you push him? Most people immediately say no, and technically the 5 versus 1 math is the same as before. But here's the problem. Your brain has already run the numbers subconsciously. It's called a gut feeling, and your gut feeling is correct. First, in real life, this plan almost never works. A single person stopping a train? Not likely. And even if it did work, it will still feel unfair. This guy wasn't on the track, he was just minding his own business. Part D, the loop variation. Let's modify the scenario. Imagine the original problem, but with an extra loop in the track. A large man is standing on this loop, and if you pull the switch, the train will hit him and stop before reaching the 5 people. Some might argue that this is mathematically identical to the last problem, but here's why it feels different. Pulling a switch is much easier than physically pushing someone. This scenario made you look less like a supervillain. The large man is already on the track, meaning he was at risk either way. So this time, the logical answer is yes, pull the switch. Part E, the backyard twist. Now let's go back to the original dilemma, but this time when you pull the switch, the train derails and crashes into a guy peacefully sleeping in his backyard. Once again, the 5 versus 1 trade-off remains the same, but something feels different, and that's because your brain prefers to minimize unnecessary harm. The backyard guy wasn't involved, he wasn't even near the train. So the answer? Don't pull the switch. Part F, the organ donor dilemma. This version is considered one of the hardest. So let's see if that's true. A surgeon has 5 patients, each needing a different organ to survive. No donors are available. Suddenly, a perfectly healthy man walks in for a checkup. He has all the organs needed to save the 5 patients. Shall the surgeon take his organs? Again, it's the same math. 5 lives versus 1. But something feels different here. The 5 patients were already in critical condition, while the healthy man had nothing to do with it. Final answer? Don't steal his organs. The final question, the Nobel Prize dilemma. So far, all of these have been pretty easy to answer with just gut instinct. But let's test one final scenario. How many criminals would you sacrifice to save a Nobel Peace Prize winner? For some, this might be talk, but for me, it's simple. Even if the other track were empty, I still hit the Nobel Prize winner, so I could take the medal and run. Why? No particular reason. It just seems ironic to win a peace prize through the pure chaos. Anyway, like and subscribe.